What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. All right, so I've been MIA for a while. Haven't been really posting video other than the last one I posted about my endurance trip. If you guys haven't watched that video, check that out. But that's pretty much what's been going on. We're going on vacationing a lot. We went to Disneyland. We went to Honduras. We just came back from another trip a few weeks ago, last week. And now in Thanksgiving, we'll be going on another trip. But that is the reason I haven't been posting a lot of videos. But today I'm going to be doing a new video on a Pathfinder. Now, of course, you guys are looking behind me and seeing a white Pathfinder and wondering, where the hell is your red Pathfinder? No, I didn't trade out of the car. That is the wife's car. She loves her car and she's keeping it. This is actually one of my viewers' Pathfinder, or his wife's Pathfinder. His name is Evan. He actually contacted me on Instagram. His Instagram handle will be down below. It is ya_ready. And basically, he wanted me to install the running boards for his vehicle. And I said, no problem, bring it over, do running boards. And like I've mentioned before, if it's a accessory I have not installed before on the car, I don't mind doing it for video purposes, for free, for video purposes. But if it's something I've already done, there will be a charge. And if you guys want to know what that charge is, it'll be less than the dealer charges you. Definitely less than the dealer charges you. I won't charge you very much to install these accessories. And you can contact me either on my Instagram, on my Facebook, or on my email. All the links will be down below. You guys can hit those up and just email me, message me, or however you want to do it. And that's what Evan did. So I'm going to be installing his running boards. But then last week he threw in that he wants me to do the lighting, basically. That's the lights that light up at the bottom. That's the entry lighting or the welcome lighting, whatever you want to call it. That's when you open the doors, just like I did on my red one. And the lights light up on the floor, which is pretty cool. So he wants that installed as well. And be a perfect video because I did the lighting on my car, but the wife doesn't want the step rails, which is perfectly fine. But he does. So the only difference you guys are going to see this in the installation is basically the place the actual lighting gets mounted to. On my wife's Pathfinder, I mounted it onto the floor, or to the body of the car, I should say. That's where the locations are. They had those little wing nuts that had to be tightened down to basically clip onto the light. On this one, it's a little bit different. This actually gets mounted onto the running board. And at the same time, of course, the running board being installed. Now, the installation of the running board is very easy. It's not very hard to do whatsoever. The installation of lighting is not hard at all. You just got to kind of drill holes into the running board, which then, of course, you got to add some kind of sealant or something so it doesn't corrode and stuff like that. But I'll show you that as part of the video. So what this video is going to show you is basically how to install the running board and where the light placement goes for the welcome lighting. As far as doing all the connections, I will do that off camera. If you guys want to see how the connections work on this car and where it goes, check out the video that I did on my wife's car. It's exactly the same way. All the connections, all the wiring is exactly the same. It's just basically the placement of the lighting that goes on the running board instead of the placement of lighting going underneath the body of the car. That is all the difference it is. And of course, you'll see how the running boards get installed to the car. So it's kind of like a two-in-one video, but it's going to lack the information of the wiring again because recording all that takes a little bit longer to process. But again, you could see that on my other video that I already did for that lighting. All right, so with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to show you guys what we're going to be using tool-wise, and then, of course, all the equipment that you need. So we'll start off with a trim removal tool. You're going to need a tape measure, our 4mm drill bit, masking tape or some kind of painter's tape, a 1/4-inch socket driver or a 1/4-inch wrench, whichever you want to use, an 8mm socket, a 10mm socket, 12mm socket, and a 13mm socket, as well as a 6-inch extension. You're going to need a T40 Torx bit, electrical tape, soldering gun, solder, microfiber towel and alcohol, some kind of cutting tool or Dremel, and a flathead screwdriver. If you buy everything from Nissan, you should have pretty much no issues. And make sure that when you buy it, all the boxes and everything are sealed. You should have a total of 6 brackets for the actual running board, 2 that are outside brackets or front brackets, 2 middle brackets, and 2 rear brackets where the running board gets mounted to the body, and of course the running board sits on, and of course your running boards. When it comes to the lighting, you should have your lighting, and you should have, of course, some new brackets. Again, they're a little bit different than the ones that we did on the other car. Each running board and each light is marked left side or passenger side, or say actually left side or driver side, passenger right side, and same thing with the lights. They have their own designation, so you can mix them up and you don't mess up. The brackets that get installed to the body of the car for the running board, they could go on either side, so it doesn't really matter which side they go on. They'll hook up to either side. So with all that being said, and you guys know what the tools are ready to use, let's go ahead and get started on this install. All right, before we do anything, let's locate the front of the running board. The front of the running board is where the two mounting holes are closest to each other. So if you notice here, this one is a driver's side. So you got the front one here, about a foot away, there's the other mounting holes. And then your back ones are all the way in the back. So the front ones are where the closest ones are. So take some masking tape now and take out 3 pieces, small pieces of masking tape. You gotta take your tape measure. You gotta measure on that small flange. The first 3 inches from the front of the flange, put a piece of masking tape right there. Then you gotta measure out 22 inches from the front of the flange. And then you gotta put a piece of masking tape there. This is where your brackets are gotta be mounted for the light. Then you gotta measure 46 inches from the front of the flange and also put a piece of tape right there. Now take your brackets and put them right up against the edge of the tape and take a pen or a marker and mark the hole. Once you mark the holes, take your 4mm drill bit and a drill and drill into the actual metal or the aluminum of the bottom of the running board. Now drill in only to the first layer, do not go past that first layer. So once you break through the aluminum, that's it, stop there. Remove all the masking tape or painter's tape. And go ahead and take your microfiber towel and the alcohol and clean everything. Make sure there's no grease or anything on here. Make sure it's completely clean. Now, what I did here also is I took my heat gun and I pretty much heated everything up, the metal mainly, because it was kind of cold. And you want to basically have some kind of temperature above 60 degrees on here before you put any type of double-sided tape on here to make sure it adheres properly. Once you do that, grab your light, peel back slightly the protective layer for the tape, and put the actual light, the front of the light where the wire is at, on the very edge, and then peel back slightly. And then of course start peeling back all the protective layers of the tape and sticking the light down to the flange. Make sure it's straight and not crooked. Once you do that, kind of hold on the light for about 20 seconds or so, kind of go around pushing down on it, putting some pressure on it for about 20 seconds. Once that's done, go ahead and take the brackets and the 8mm screws that came with it. Start them off by hand and then take your 8mm socket and go ahead and tighten them down. The same procedure goes for the other side. All right, so the driver's side is all set and ready to go, as well as the passenger side. Now I have the brackets that are gonna mount onto the car, they mount to the actual step guard or step rail. And again, the middle bracket is this one right here that has no hole. Your front bracket is the one that has only 2 bolts and a big large hole, and of course the back bracket is going to be the one that has the 4 holes that go up against the body of the car. Underneath the car, you're going to find 2 plastic panels. The driver's side is bigger than on the passenger side. Those plastic panels have to be removed. There is a total of 11 bolts, 10mm bolts, 3 10mm nuts, and I believe there's 2 plastic clips or 3 plastic clips that hold the driver's side. The passenger side is smaller, so it of course has less bolts and less nuts. But either way, we're gonna just take off a bunch of bolts and nuts to get these plastic covers from underneath, and to be able to access and be able to see all the mounting holes and of course studs that are on there for these brackets. So let's go ahead and get started on this, and we'll get this. This actually is the easiest install to do, and then of course then I'll wire everything up for the lighting. So start by removing the plastic clips. Some of these plastic clips are stubborn, so use a 10mm, remove all the bolts and the actual screws out of there. Once you do that, the only thing we'll be holding these is the plastic clips. Go ahead and put them straight down. Now make sure the plastic clips are loose and the heads are popped off of them. That way you won't break them. On the passenger side, you're gonna have also brake lines and fuel lines, so be careful with all those lines. Once you get that out, you're gonna notice on the front and on the middle, you're gonna have a stud and a hole. That's where the mounting brackets for the front and the middle go. On the back one, you just have 4 holes, and that is where basically the back bracket goes. What I did here is I started them off by hand, and then I didn't snug them all the way down, just because when you're putting the step rail or the running board on, you want to make sure you have some kind of movement and everything kind of lines up. So starting by hand and barely snug them down. Now the nut that goes on the stud is a 12mm deep weld, and 13 is the one at the bottom. The Torx screws are gonna be for the actual running board, so when you install the running board to the bracket. So again, the ones that go on the stud, the nut that goes on the stud, it is a 12mm. You're gonna need a deep weld socket like I showed you at the beginning, and the bottom one is a 13mm. All the ones in the back are all 13mm. Once you have all the bolts snug down for the brackets, go ahead and mount the running board on there and then line up all the holes. Now you're going to take your Torx screws on there and start tightening them out by hand as well. When installing the brackets on the passenger side, be careful with all these lines. That's where you're going to need that extension to be able to get behind these lines, because you don't want to damage any of these lines. Just be careful when you're working around them. Once you have everything snugged down by hand and lined up, go ahead and start tightening everything down. Now each one of these bolts and nuts does have a Torx spec. I will have that in the description at the bottom, as well as a link to the actual instructions on how to install these. Now take note of how the wire is being ran for the light. It's between the step rail and the actual bracket, because it's going to have to basically get up to this small hole to be able to run it inside the car and make all your connections. Alright, so there you have it. The step rails are on. The lights are mounted on the step rails. Just the wiring needs to be done, and we're done with this install. Like I said, I'm going to skip the wiring on the video. If you guys want the wiring, and I've repeated myself like multiple times already, sound like a broken record, check out the video where I did the install on my wife's car. I'm not going to record that because it's a pain to put the camera in there and try to record that wiring part of it. Also, I will have the description or the link to the actual instructions for this install, but it is not hard. The step rails are easy. The plastic panels come off, step rails go in, simple, bunch of bolts, bunch of screws. Just make sure you put the right screws and the right bolts in their spots. As well as on the passenger side, be careful with those fuel lines. You will need an extension, like I said, and to be able to get those on. But other than that, let's take a look at these. Again, the wiring needs to be done still, so that's Last step here, that's not going to be on camera, but this is why, I mean, I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments, what do you think about these? The last generation Pathfinder had the same type of step rails. I wish they came out a little bit lower, maybe a little bit further out. Even when you open the door on this thing, you know, it's still, you don't have much room. I mean, I guess maybe the tiptoe, I guess. I mean, I don't know how much I would need, but my Forerunner has a nice big one, like my whole foot fits on the thing pretty much on it. But this one's kind of short. I don't know. I mean, seems okay. Looks kind of cool. Makes it look a little bit wider, I guess, if you look at it from an angle. Car looks just a little bit wider. Nothing too much. Nothing too big. But you guys let me know in the comments below. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead, finish up and do the wiring install, run the wiring, and get all that set up. And then I'm going to come back before I'm done, because I got to put these plastic panels back on. Show you exactly how we're going to cut these panels, and then before we install them. And that'll be the end of it. It is straightforward and simple, nothing much to it. So let me go ahead and get this wiring install done, and we'll be all set to go. Before reinstalling the lower shields, locate these small markings on here. Put some masking tape around the lines, and go ahead and use some kind of cutting tool, knife or whatever. I use the Dremel to cut these small inserts out. This is actually for the center bracket that you install for the running board. If you don't cut this out, this plastic panel will not fit on there properly. Alright, so it's done. Got the Pathfinder all set up. Installed the running boards. Again, there you go. Again, it's not much of a running board really, or step board or step rail, whatever you want to call it. The lighting is done as well. Check that out. So now we got light at the bottom. And then, of course, it shuts off when you turn the light off, kind of dims out. Just like on my wife's Pathfinder, but this one has the option, of course, of the running boards on it. And again, it's like not much of a running board. I just can't get over the fact that Nissan made this, called this a running board. Again, to each their own. These guys like it, but it's all said and done. So like I said, I will have some other shots when the cars are back on the ground and everything, but if you guys want something installed, I don't have a problem doing it. If I've done a video already, there will be a charge, not as much as the dealer. Again, just hit me up on my Instagram, my Facebook, or email me and let me know what you want installed. If you're in the Chicagoland area, drop off your car with me and I'll have it done for you. This install probably takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. Of course, when you're recording a video, it takes a lot longer. For you guys, it'll probably be a 15-minute video, but maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours, if that. And that's because of the wiring, and you got to run the wire to the inside of the vehicle. You basically got to fish out the wire, and that takes the longest out of everything. Other than that, everything is back together, cleanly installed, just the way he had it. And there's the Pathfinder step rails he did on his own. Again, either have me do it or watch my videos and you can do it on your own. That is it for this video. Thank you guys for coming back. Thank you guys for subscribing again. If you did like the video, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace.